as an addition to my regular written email newsletter. And truly, in the Leo fashion, I would love to share a bit of more of my own understanding and knowledge in this matter of, let's say, holistic well-being and human design and astrology and all of the things that come in together as this holistic part of enhancing and remembering our own aliveness. So speaking of Leo and Leo season, regardless of when you are listening to this video, when you find this video, then I bet that video is carrying a message for you. And the message today is about our form and importance of our form, and that the secret of our form resides within us, and specifically within our heart. So interestingly enough, Leo as an archetype, an archetypal energy of courage, also in medicinal astrology associates with our physiological, physical heart. And heart in Spanish is corazón, has this very specific root cor, which, as you see from the slide, stands for courage and heart. And so courage means to literally have heart. So when we exude the quality of courage, it's basically when we are aligned with our own heart. And I think with that, in my own understanding, I feel that's where the confidence as well resides, when we are fully aligned with our own heart. And even though that sounds wonderful, being aligned with our own heart, human design can give us a little bit more direction, can give us a little bit more understanding what it is or how aligning with our heart looks like for us specifically, for our specific types, energy types, and according to what gates we might have defined in our heart center. So when in human design we talk about heart center, I would like to mention the fact that human design comes or sort of develops or builds on the 7 chakras of Hindu Vedic system. In human design, there are 9 energy centers, and that is explained by the fact that in 1791, if I'm not mistaken, we've evolved as an energy beings, and instead of 7 centers, we now have 9 centers. Part of that development is that our heart center, or let's say our heart chakra, has split into 2. We have G center that is or sits right here on top of our sternum. It's a center that is responsible for self-identity and direction. And then we have ego center, or also known as a heart center, that is identify or underlines our willpower and how the ways that we exude our willpower on people or events around us. So today specifically, I will be speaking and reflecting a little bit more on this specific G center, the heart center, the direction center, love center in human design, and some other ideas that come from some other philosophies that very much align with how Ra was talking or teaching the specifics of G center. So one thing to understand and also to reflect is that in human design, when we talk about this specific energy center, the heart center, the G center, let's actually call it G center. It is the place, the energy center that houses magnetic monopole. Magnetic monopole is an actual terminology from physics, and there are some scientists that are still deciding if magnetic monopoles exist or not, and they do exist, as some research confirms that. And then there is magnetic monopole within our own form, within our own human form. And magnetic monopole, basically, that's what it stands for. It stands for a magnet. It pulls in things towards itself. And specifically, Rauer, who, as I'm reading this book right now, this material by him, speaks about magnetic monopole and how it is housed in the G center, and that it is sort of the basis of the form, of us being the form that we are. And that also underlies the way that we are as an energy type, as a profile, and the rest of the differentiation as an aura type or an energy type that we are. So basically, Ra wanted to say that, from my understanding of what Ra wanted to say, because there are so many things that Ra wanted to deliver to us. But from my understanding, what Ra wants to tell us there is that our form is this very prime materia that we receive. And then another important idea from that teaching is that then later in our development as an embryo, actually, we receive our personality. And personality is sort of like an add-on, something that just adds later, that our magnetic monopole, that our design crystal pulls into us, which for me, for some reason, was a very important understanding, because I think in my own experiment or my own understanding of human design, I spent a lot of time into looking into the personality numbers and trying to really understand the personality numbers. If you know how body graph looks like, you know that there is a red graph of numbers in the body graph. That would be your body unconscious design, and then there is a personality design that is usually in black. So I would spend a lot of times looking into the numbers of the gates of the personality, while with this understanding that form is our most primary sort of material that we receive, is such an important understanding, I think. And for me, just like a lot of coaches would say that it's unconscious, it's very hard to explain that understanding. I actually, the moment I started to read that material about deform and magnetic monopole by Ra, it almost a feeling, very deep mystical feeling that one receives when reading this material, that made you appreciate how important our form is. And it actually, even though I already teach so much about self-care and loving yourself, I think a lot of times when I speak to that, I spoke to loving self as a personality first, and that sort of filters my understanding or my love to my form. And what I'm coming to understand right now is that our form is the first that needs our deep acceptance and our collaboration, because our personality is sort of like as add on. And this was really interesting because as I was contemplating on creating this video, I came across this material by Gurdjieff, Russian mystic and philosopher. And he basically says very similar thing about us being a form and how important it is to just be as a form and get to understand this state of beingness, and that personalities, basically all different eyes, he called them, are just our add-ons. They just pop into us and happen to be there, while the form is this most primal, unique formation, right? That is present and in a way is embedded in the world of other forms around us. So without making this video even more esoteric or somewhat profoundly deep and confusing, I would like to bring your attention and your your attention to remembering that we are not only just this form, right? We have this deep essence, and a lot of times in human design, we are able to decode this essence if we happen to forget, which happens to us a lot. What our essence is, that essence resides within us. It's already within us. We have the codes. And sometimes when we are looking at a specific parts of our chart, and here I'll talk a little bit more about magnetic monopole and the actual G center, because that's where a lot of times we will know things that it is important for us align ourselves with in order for us to pull in to us things that are correct for us, right? And remember that for all of us, those are different things because we are different forms and we have different designs, and we have different energy types. So speaking of that, there is a very tight close correlation to this understanding of morphogenetic field, because morph means a form, right? So here we are knowing that not only we carry this magnet within us, we actually carry around ourselves a magnetic field, a field that pulls into towards us events, situation, people that align with how we direct our energy field, if that makes any sense, or how much we are aware of our energy field. And that understanding of morphogenetic field is kind of a more modern understanding of concept like chi, aura, or chakra energy field, or life force energy field. And that is basically rather modern way to understanding the magnetic, electromagnetic, bioelectromagnetic capacity of our own body to generate fields of energy around us. And from looking at the morphogenetic fields in nature, what we learn is that all plants, animals, organisms in the nature, they somehow know what shape they are taken, right? They sort of innately aware of their form. And just think of that intelligence that is present. We often think that that intelligence is probably within us, which is true. Some of that is within us, but it's probably also around us that helps us to form the way that we are designed to be. As I'm speaking about our human forms, but also about this millions and billions of forms that exist around us and live together with us on this planet and in the universe. And another thing to remember there with these knowing about our heart is that our heart has electromagnetic field. And that electromagnetic field is, I think, 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of our brain. And we know that brain runs electricity and energy, right? Very powerful sort of circuit there. And the moment we are able to be coherent, which is basically are able to sort of have similar frequency of energy in our thinking region right here in our brain with our feeling region, that is our heart, we are creating a more coherent field of resonance around us. And we also, it's good to remember that the way that our magnetic field operates, our planet Earth is basically designed in the same way, or we are designed in a very similar way, us as a human body and our Earth as a planetary body have a very similar magnetic morphogenetic configuration. Um, and with this, what comes to mind is remember personality is add on. And our form has its unique way to move us towards harmony, to move us towards aliveness. That's what I usually call it. Our form has its instinctual, intuitive knowing where the symmetry is, what is correct for us. And this is what happens to us when we become mindful, when we become more present. We actually become more attuned with this unique form that we are. We honor that design that was given to us. And because our personality, our persona, let's say, sometimes could be very dysregulated and it does not remember what's good for our form. And it makes choices that sometimes very dysfunctional, that takes our form out of alignment. And that's where an important learning is for many, many of the systems is that regardless what we've learned mentally or what we hear or understand psychologically through our mind, it's very important what is being coded within our form, within our body. That is why somatic experiences, experiencing with our senses, is so crucial, because those experiences could be very healing for us. Because our traumas, they might be psychological, but then they are coded within our physiology. They are basically being written into the disk of our subconscious, into the machine, as actually Gurdjieff calls it, right? The machine could be coded, but once we are conscious of the code, we are able then to decode it. And that's a part of human design that teaches us that there is a deep process of deconditioning. That once we understand our conditioning, then we are able to take it apart and decondition itself and decondition ourselves. And this is what in human design, the depth of our deconditioning lies in understanding these graphs, in understanding some of these numbers. And as I mentioned to you before, we a lot of times focus in this black numbers as understanding of our personality. And what is important to remember is that there is also this deep unconscious knowing of our form, of our design that is actually shows up before us. And specifically here, as a conclusion to this video, if you are familiar with your chart, if you don't have your chart, please download it from the link below, absolutely for free, also with your body graph explanation report. Again, absolutely for free, and get to know your own energy type. And start your little experiment in human design, because that's the beauty of human design. Human design is not a dogma. It doesn't tell you, go do this and your life will be great. Human design tells you this could be what you are energetically. See if this is true for you. And if some of those parts resonate, go and apply the rest of that in your daily life and see if there are some beneficial adjustments in the way that your life unfolds. And so here specifically, as I teach or talk about the identity center or G center, there are specific gates that can, the explanation of this gate can give us some ideas if we are completely sort of not aligned with our life, or we forgot what our aliveness or alignment looks like, then through definition of this gate, we might be directed. And what happens actually in a lot of readings that I do with my clients is, and in my own life, if you follow that little nudges, if you follow that gentle intuition that life brings you to, you actually will already see that a lot of times your G center, that directional compass, already brought you on the path of love, of doing things that you love, of being in service or to yourself or to others through the things that are aligned with you. And for me, it's sort of like incredibly to know or understand this, that even before I got onto deeper understanding of human design, I already have been aligned with my gate 10 that I have in my G center defined, and gate 46, love of body. And that's a lot of my work, is that I teach a lot about movement and physical well-being, as well as love of self. And that's my gate 10. So my work and my service to myself first, and then capacity to share that with others, has always been guiding me. And that's the beauty of that knowledge, that not only it helps and directs you, but it also reminds you you are already what you're doing. So keep aligning yourself even more with that, because that will give you more satisfaction for my generators and manifesting generators. And then when we are not aligned, what happens is that we are frustrated. Then we are constantly moving into this other, more lower frequency emotions, like frustration, a lot of times for generator types, right? And for my projectors, that would be bitterness, and success, if that's going into the aligned way. And that's, again, that's the frustration and satisfaction for generation types would be a sort of an easier way to understand emotions, and how to know when you are following your strategy and your type according to human design. But again, there is way more emotions that we experience as beings, right? Apart from satisfaction and frustration. And for me personally, as I spoke in my previous video newsletter, this scale has been very helpful in understanding where I am, where I'm progressing, how I am progressing through my emotional experiences, and where I am, how I am riding my emotional wave as an emotionally defined manifesting generator. And I'll leave a link for you for this video if you find that helpful. So as always, as a brief conclusion, to leave you here with this remembering that we are a unique form, and our being is always looking for alignment and harmony. And so the more we are harmonizing ourselves within and then without, we are benefiting our form. That will carry our personality, that is, add on to us with way more ease, with way more success, and that personality will enjoy its ride way more than us trying to just figure out things from our personality level and trying to direct our beingness. So tapping into our beingness on a regular basis, making sure that that's your practice, because in this day and age, we're so aligned with doingness And when we align with beingness, when we then more in honor of our form, and then that helps us to nourish our holistic well-being. And there are just some suggested tools that I often use in my life, as mentioned to you before: understanding of your emotional scale, working with your emotions, understanding your emotions, watching how they unfold in your life. Being an observer to your emotions is very, very important. Emotional freedom technique as tapping is very also important and crucial way to reprogram your tapes, reprogram your patterns, and get in touch with conditioning that you might have on a different level of physicality or emotionality or in mental space. Meditation, of course, or any other form of mindfulness. I use somatic healing, and somatic means body movements and body therapies in order to get in touch with my own physiology and sort of from there move closer to my emotions and to my mental state, rather than trying to do it in the opposite direction. A lot of times we try to get to our body through our mind, and that could be a corrupt way. So try to get from your body into your mind, into your feelings. And for that, Qigong, yoga, breathwork, movement, spontaneous dance, creative expression, music, rhythm, all of those tools, art, very, very helpful to get to know yourself, to get to heal yourself in a way that promotes more aliveness for you, for your life, and for those around you and your environment. With gratitude and love.